We're going to call this meeting to order at 5:59. Oh, 6 o'clock just turned. I want to acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory and the land on which we are meeting is the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Red River Métis Nation. As a council and a municipality, we will continue to work on moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. I will ask for motion for the adoption of the minutes, please.
Resolve that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held at City Hall on March 10th, 2026 be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Nichols, seconded by Councillor Espy. All those in favor? And that is carried. We have no delegations this evening. I will open public hearing for request for conditional use PC 13-26 Apollo Homes at 125 Saskatchewan Avenue East. And I will ask if there is anyone here. Oh, Councillor Espy?
Your Worship, I apologize. I must declare a conflict with the next item as I have a business relationship with the applicant.
Thank you. Jocelyn, could you grab that door there? Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. So I will ask if there's anyone here to speak in favor of this application. Hi, if you just want to come to the mic. State your first and last name, please.
My name is Jake Biersembi, and I'm the applicant.
Thank you. Would you like to make a statement or?
I'm actually mostly here for questions.
Okay.
We're just here for asking for variances and a conditional use for a mixed-use building that is 43 units and 2 commercial on the main floor. We are aiming to have an affordable building. And we are working through the numbers right now, but the affordability would be at a minimum of 30% to an upwards of 55% affordable. The units would be deeply affordable, meaning that they would be hitting in the percentages of 20 to 15% of the median market income. And we are working with some of the provincial and the federal levels of the government to kind of make it possible.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? No, not yet. Thank you. Okay, I'll ask if anyone else is here to speak in favor of this application. Okay, I'll ask if anyone is here to speak against this application. Sure, if you want to come to the mic there, state your first and last name. And so we're speaking on the conditional use right now.
Yes. My name is Kevin Ham. I am the general manager of Portage MCC. And yes, I'm here to express concerns about the development. I know there's 2 parts to this, two variances that we're talking about. So please stop me if I'm going too far on one. Portage MCC is one of the largest, one of the largest employers and operations here in downtown Portage la Prairie. We operate 3 stores here in this 100 block, which is directly neighboring 125. We operate, in addition to operating 3 stores, we are also co-owners together with Paramount of the buildings the property from 127 to 141 Saskatchewan Avenue East. So we have a vested interest in who our neighbors are. We want to say that we are very certainly excited about the idea of new development, especially since that lot has been empty for a long time. We do, however, have concern about the size of the development and the type of development, particularly as it pertains to access to our particular area. We have 4 groups of people that would be affected. That would be a large group of volunteers, of which number around 80 or 90, about 30 staff who are employed here, and then also probably 300 to 500, I should say, customers that come through every day, 6 days a week, and then very hard to pinpoint how many donors come down Howie. So it's a very, very busy stretch, and we are concerned about the type of development that is coming up next, or is planned to be coming up next to us.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Ham? Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Mr. Ham, for your comments, and through Your Worship to the Speaker. I guess the question is what would the concerns, if you could maybe just elaborate a little bit on those, is it more the commercial side that you're looking at? Now, we're not talking about the variance, we're talking just about the conditional use portion. The residential portion, the commercial portion in general?
So, yes, thank you. So it is regarding the residential portion of it, and we'd be very happy to see some commercial development take place in that particular area, and frankly anywhere downtown would definitely be a benefit to us. And so we are not in any way opposed to new development. In fact, we'd very much like to have someone on our west wall. It's been an issue for years now. People with mischief and graffiti and activity and so on and so forth. So we're very much in favor of development. Our concern relates to the number of people and the number of vehicles in particular that would be utilizing this area. I'm sure, as most of everyone in this room is well aware, this is a particularly busy section, and Howie is a challenging avenue to navigate at the best of times, particularly here at the west end of Howie, either access to and from, and navigating the very narrow encroachment between one of our stores and the former Webb bus lines. Not sure how to refer to that building in its modern sense right now.
Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I guess just to make it clear that the majority of those comments are related more to the variation than they would be to the actual conditional use. So I guess is there a concern with the conditional use portion? And I apologize if it's through Your Worship to our Speaker. Is there a concern with the...
Thank you. And I do express my apologies for not knowing exactly where to lay these concerns. So if you'd like me to save some comments for the next part, I'm happy to do so.
Right. So just to be clear, so it is for a C2 central commercial zone. That is that. So looking at that's the change in the conditional use. Some of what you're talking about with the parking and that's variation for
Correct.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess the question is, are you opposed to conditional use residential at all? Like,
I would say, as far as Portage MCC is concerned, we're not concerned about residential in that sense. There is residential in this block already, and having more, I think, would be good. I would love to have more customers nearby within walking distance. Absolutely. It's just the sheer magnitude of it.
Variation.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's clear. Okay, good.
Hey, and so, Your Worship, just to clarify, I take it that the Speaker doesn't have any concerns with the conditional use portion, and he can address the variation when that comes up.
Correct.
In that case, maybe I should say I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, okay. That's
Okay.
perfect. Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
That's awesome.
Trying not
you.
to sound wishy-washy.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ham. Appreciate
you.
it. Okay, no, that's good. I'll ask if anyone else is here to speak against this application. I'll ask if there's anyone here who just has questions about this application before we close the public hearing. Okay, I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for conditional use PC 13-26 Apollo Homes at 125 Saskatchewan Avenue East now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council, in front of you is a request for conditional use for Apollo Homes and 100670002 Manitoba Limited. So the issue is to whether or not to allow multifamily dwelling units above the first floor with a minimum size of 37.2 square meters in a C2 central commercial zone. For council's information, I just want to let them know that it already is in a C2 zone, but in order to allow apartments above that second floor or the second floor going up, that's where the conditional use is required. Just again to clarify, has nothing to do with the variation. Is strictly to do with just the conditional use for this property. So Apollo Homes, they applied for the conditional use to allow the multifamily dwelling units above that first floor. 37.2 square meters is what the size is in the current bylaw. We had previously approved this request back in, I believe it was 2022, which was under PC 17-22. And your minute references there are obviously there for your reference. In addition to that, we have approved, or council had previously approved through PC 6123 to allow the same scenario with the same square meter size of unit in a C3 Avenue commercial zone. The application was circulated to various city departments with no concerns. Public notices, the application was circulated to various city departments, no concerns. Public notices have been sent to all property owners with a 100-meter radius, and of course we have the comments noted from the speaker. With that said, it's administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the conditional use application of Apollo Homes to allow multifamily dwelling units above the first floor with a minimum size of 37.2 square meters in a C2 central commercial zone at the property 125 Saskatchewan Avenue East, which is legally described as Lot 17, Block 1, Plan 1997 in the parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. Any questions or comments from council? Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship. And Councillor, again, I just want to kind of clarify again that what we're doing here, of course, is approving just the availability that should the applicant to choose to add a units above there for residential, that's what the actual conditional use is for. Whether it be size or anything like that is something that's going to be dealt with, of course, on a secondary motion. For that reason alone, C2, of course, is described as this zone provides for appropriate land in the central business area for a diversity of uses, including retail, business, social, cultural, residential, and institutional land uses. So just on the very face, it actually does fall within that category. As our development plan states, it falls within that category as well. For that reason alone, Your Worship, I will be supporting this motion, that there would be, as that is kind of really what our plan downtown is that we look at a commercial bottom with residential stories up and above. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. I'll open public hearing request for variation PC 14-26 for Apollo Homes at 125 Saskatchewan Avenue East. I'll ask if there's anyone here to speak in favor of this request for variation.
Hello,
Hello.
my name is Jagbir Sambi, and I'm here to speak in favor of the variance application.
Great. Did you have any statement to make or just answer questions?
No, I'm here for questions.
Okay, does anybody have any questions right now? Did you? No? Yeah, Councillor Meyer?
Sorry, thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Mr.
Jagbir.
Jagbir, thank you, Jagbir, and of course, through Your Worship, to the applicant. First of all, thank you for bringing this development plan forward. And obviously, council will decide on the variation once we get to the actual motion. The question that I have, just to clarify, is that you're asking for a reduction in parking stalls. How do you really account for the congestion and so on that can be created? In addition, I noticed that there's 8 smaller parking stalls, right? Which would kind of, I guess, obviously be identified for small cars. But I mean, when you kind of take it to that number, what's the rationale behind that? Is it just because of space, or what would it be?
Yes, yeah. So our goal is in this development is to provide the maximum number of affordable units that we feasibly can. And we have done a development in the past in the city of Portage la Prairie, where we did do 6 units of 3-bedroom, 2 baths. and we had 6 parking stalls in that development. Just like from experience as well, managing that project, we had no issues with the parking at all. And in this specific development, majority of our units are 1 bedrooms. So that is the reason, therefore, we're asking for a reduction in the variance of the parking stalls.
Thank you. Councillor Porter?
Thank you. That was one of the questions I was going to ask you, whether they're going to be 1 or 2 or 3 bedrooms. My other question for you, or the one question I have for you, will these units be having balconies?
Yes. Yes. So if I think we have submitted our drawing, but I can go through it.
We
So
don't have a
there would
drawing,
be
do we?
balconies
No.
on the side of the building. It would be the east and the west. So there would be balconies on both sides of the building.
Okay.
Anything?
Oh, sorry. I just, we didn't get anything like a picture or anything like that.
Yes, I actually do have it. I think when we submitted for our application, the only requirement was a site plan. But I do have some renderings here for you that would kind of portray a little bit better image. I can kind of pass this around, or can pass this over.
Sure.
If you want to share these.
Yep, that was my question so far. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship. And just when I do this actually may answer my question, but when I extrapolate out the numbers based on the minimum space allowed for each unit, how many stories are you talking about over and above the commercial
5
spot?
stories.
5 stories above. So you have commercial and then 5 stories up and above that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Nichols?
Thank you, Worship. Through to the presenter. This is the information I took the time and went around the lot, and I looked at the numbers here, but to get a visual of what it is that was from the site drawing is very hard for me, and I appreciate this. I just I'd ask for some time to have a look at this if that's possible.
Yep. Thank you.
Sure.
Your Worship, if I
Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship. If I could just ask one more question of clarification, and maybe it's on here and I'm just not reading it. What would the actual completed height elevation be to the tip of the top of the building?
That is a good question. I don't know off the top of my head, but it will be on the left side on the page there. I believe it would be just under 60 feet.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Maybe I could ask planning. I know there was discussion with our fire department about height. Was there any concerns with that?
We did have some discussions with fire department. They did have a concern with the height, more or less for ladder usage. They do have access to reach the height, but it could be a bit of a situation where they would have to access more the front avenue in order to extend out to that certain height, right? Because it can't go straight vertically up. So it could be a blockage of the highway. I'm not sure if they'd be able to access through the backside, depending on what's directly located behind it. With parking in behind, it could be hard to access through the backside. So you'd be looking at coming off the street, front of Saskatchewan.
Okay. But there's no limits in C2. This is just to do with
There is no limits. The limit would be on height, which is 22 meters, I believe, when I looked at it, which is a bit over 60 feet. When we discussed the plan, it was looking like it would be under 60 feet, so we didn't have any height requirements for that as far as variations.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Singh? Thank you for now. We might call you back up. You just, yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll ask if there's anyone else here to speak in favor of this application. I'll ask if there's anyone here to speak against this application for variance. Come on up, Mr. Ham.
Thank you. Do I need to introduce myself again?
We got it.
We got it?
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
So just as a preface again, I want to make it clear that Portage MCC is very much in favor of downtown development, and we appreciate the efforts of both council, the planning district, and developers that are willing to do this sort of thing. I'm very glad. So again, our concern is the space. And we're talking about a building that would be directly adjacent to our Furniture Plus store at 127/131 Saskatchewan Avenue East. It would tower 50 feet over our rooftop, approximately, just based on the numbers that I just heard. So all of the east balconies would directly overlook our building. So there's a kind of an obvious concern. For one, I don't think it's a particularly attractive view, the rooftops there, but that's the way it goes. I would be concerned, however, of items being dropped from the balconies, perhaps, or falling from directly onto our roof, which would then we would likely have to take care of. Our major concern, though, is the access from the west side of Howe Avenue, directly off Royal. And as it stands today, most times only one vehicle can exit, exit or enter on the west end of Howe, depending on the size of the vehicle. And as anyone who has tried to navigate that before realizes, especially with parking, whether it's the bank, whether it's city, whether whoever is there, it is very, very tight. Also, when there is access or attempted access eastward, just to the south of Furniture Plus, so this is now where this new development would be, and where it then comes against the existing building there. It's basically a one-way. You have to take turns. It's one lane, not one way. It is a one-lane passageway, as you can see from the, I can see very clearly from the details here, the former Webb Bus Lines building encroaches on Howe Avenue, and it makes it very, very tight to get through there. So our normal practice by anyone who comes in heading eastward on Howe is you, of course, allow someone else to pass, so you pull off to the side. Well, now that there will be, as I can see from the diagram here along the parking, there will be, I'm sorry, I'm not sure the technical term for those cement roundouts or whatever they're
Call
called.
them boulevards for
Sure,
lack
boulevards.
Of a
Let's go with boulevards. Yeah. With the boulevards there, that means you are no longer able to pull aside. So it becomes even narrower, or the narrow portion is now extended, shall we say. So it's going to become more difficult with 40 plus, I believe, 40 plus vehicles, perhaps, added, 46 stalls being added to this already very congested area. I can foresee that we will have to let volunteers, staff, donors, and customers to try not to access our businesses, our operation from Howe via the west side. So that really impacts our business. Yes, there are options. There are options from the east, which is a great road up until it reaches the that narrow portion. There is Duke, but again, you have to cross parking lots and so on and so forth. So it is going to be, I think, a pretty obvious congestion point, and 46 seems to be an awfully high number. to try and fit in there and to have access for, particularly going in and out. The second portion of this concern relates to parking. As I'm sure you're all aware, any downtown, I'm sure it happens anywhere, any downtown area, parking is a premium. We are the proud owners of probably the largest private parking lot in downtown Portage la Prairie. It's not a particularly beautiful parking lot, but it's ours. And that parking lot is directly behind the thrift shop at 149 Saskatchewan Avenue East. It is just a few meters away from this development. Next to our parking lot, there are a few dedicated areas there related to that the city has control of, and of course the daycare has some sections there too. But our lot is very desirable, and we often have issues with people parking there, often all day. But they're not shoppers of ours, nor are they working at our stores. So we do have issues with people utilizing our precious parking space. Of course, the city has rightfully monetized the large lot that is south of Western Bering, and that's a legit space for people to park, especially if they have a permit or if they are taking advantage of the 3-hour parking limit. That's all fine and good. However, we find that our lot is, of course, more convenient for most people, and so therefore they use it first. And so that is a challenge for us to maintain available parking spaces for our volunteers, many of whom will have mobility issues, and so we try to have good spaces available for them. The second area of concern regarding parking is street parking. And again, the city has great options for street parking. And unfortunately, though, it is limited when it comes to commercial parking. And so the big concern for us is we're operating 6 days a week. If I'm not mistaken, it is only 5 days a week that parking is monitored on streets. Is that correct? Am I correct on that?
Correct.
Bylaws? Yes, thank you. And therefore, Saturday parking which is one of our busiest days, Saturday parking for our customers could very easily be taken up by residents who sadly wouldn't have a parking space of their own because we're down from 70 to 46 potentially. And therefore, we'll see Saturday and Sunday parking as being, hey, there's a long lineup right here, right in front of the building, which then goes in front of one of our stores, in front of the second store, and eventually the third store. And right away, us and other businesses in this area are negatively impacted. So again, it's our concern, the congestion, the parking, and how it would affect not only our customers, but also our volunteers and staff. So I probably said enough. So I'm going to stop there. If you have any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them.
I have a question. I'm just curious about the parking when you say that you have people that are parking there all day. Where are they going?
Yes, that's a good question. Yeah. So as you know, the aforementioned parking lot, I'm not sure what it has a name. The monetized city lot south of Western Bering.
Yeah.
Maybe it has a name. I don't know. I think you know what I'm
Probably
talking
do.
about. Yes. Okay. So thank you. So that lot, of course, has become less desirable for employees in the local area, and there are quite a few businesses in the area, obviously because they would require a permit. Up until a few years ago, it was free parking all day. And so since that time, we've noticed an uptick of vehicles. And so we believe it's primarily used either by customers or those who may be working in the area. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's interesting. Good to know. We can share with those businesses that our monthly parking is quite reasonable too.
It is.
So that's good. Okay, Councillor Meyer.
Excuse me, sorry. Thank you, Your Worship, and again, through Your Worship, the Speaker. Just on the back of that question I have, should Council choose to approve this variation or approve a form of this variation or of some type, does the applicant, or would the Speaker have any options to be able to control that lot? Have you looked into that at all? And I know I'm talking about what ifs, but what if that happened? Do you have any kind of a mitigation relief in play
Yes.
where you can control it for your own own purposes? 'Cause it
Excellent.
is your own parking lot.
Excellent question. Yes, we actually took those steps the moment that it was announced that the city lot was being monetized, and so we now have parking passes that we give to all of our volunteers and staff and have them hang in their windows. And so we have a limited window when we can check prior to our store opening for customers, so we can actually check vehicles there in our lot to see if they are actually supposed to be there. And then, of course, once the store is open, then there's no way for us to monitor whether they're a customer or someone who's just taking advantage of parking. And I should mention, we have had discussions with several business owners regarding that, and it's not a definitive issue as such, but it has popped up once in a while, usually from someone who's not, a regular.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Ham? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I'll ask if there's anyone else here to speak against this application. I'll ask if there's anyone here with questions about this application. Okay, if nothing, and council has no more questions for the applicant or before we go, Councillor Nichols?
Thank you, Your Worship.
Mr.
Through to the presenter or the applicant. I'm looking at that drawing coming off Saskatchewan Avenue and going south alongside of the building. Is that a laneway that you're creating there?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And so it would be a two-way laneway?
Yes. Yeah. It's currently a laneway already.
Right.
So we would be using it, but yes, it's a two-way.
Okay. And help me here, Howie Avenue is a two-way street as well at this point?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Whether it should be.
And so there is that option if you're coming from the west to come in to your parking from that approachway and actually leave to the north and continue on east, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Porter?
Just have another question that came up there in my mind there about the main floor is going to be, or you're looking at businesses, or hoping that businesses are on the main floor, or is this all going to be apartments?
So main floor, we have about roughly, I believe roughly around 1,900 square feet of commercial space. So the businesses, any sort of business that is allowable under the zoning. So it would be, the space would be for lease. So, opportunity would be for any business to, come and operate.
Okay, thank you. And those guys, and those businesses would, or whatever is located on the main floor would also require parking? I'm
Yes.
sure.
Yes. So yes, there would be dedicated spots for the commercial space as well, but they will also utilize the parking on Saskatchewan Avenue as well.
Thank you.
Okay, you're telling me how many units? 43 units
Yes.
of residential,
Yes.
and then commercial on the bottom, and you want to go to how many parking spots?
46.
46. So, okay. So we have employees and customers of those commercial. Okay.
Yes. So I think our kind of goal with this project is to create a project that is a live and a work, and I think doing that project in downtown, I think is very vital for people to who work in this area to also have housing in that neighborhood where they can use less of their vehicles for most of their day when they are kind of going in and out and living in the neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Singh? Thank you. Okay. If we're ready, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Worship. Be resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for variation PC 14-26 Apollo Homes, 125 Saskatchewan Avenue East, now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? That is carried. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. On the heels of the previous conditional use, the request is for a variation for PC 14-26 for Apollo Homes at 125 Saskatchewan Avenue East. In your package, council, you'll have the site plan. I do want to just point out that that is related to the parking. It doesn't give an accurate picture of what the development plan basically states here, but that is the square footage of the commercial space. And then, of course, the units would be above that and would overhang over the parking as well. It does relate to two portions of a lot. As you can see, you'll see the one that's on the north side of Howie Avenue, and then, of course, the parcel of land that the applicant owns as well that is tied in on the south portion, and that accounts for his request for variation for the amount of parking stalls. You're also going to see the site plan where, of course, it is on Saskatchewan Avenue. It does fit within the development plan. And the issue, though, or the question is to vary the following, which is already in a C2 central commercial zone, and that's to reduce the front yard requirement of 9.1 meters down to 1.5 meters. The east side requirement of 4.6 down to 0. The rear yard requirement of 7.5 meters down to 1.5 meters. And then the parking requirement of 70 stalls down to 46. The background, as I just indicated, of what the request is, Councillor has approved a similar request and passed as follows, and that is PC-6223, which was approved back in 2023. Which I'll speak to in a minute, but is to vary the following in a C3 Avenue commercial zone. It falls roughly the same place, or sorry, the same requests. The difference being is that in the PC 62-23, there was a height a requirement that because it was zoned just a little bit different. And in this one here, there is no height requirement, right? The height requirement is 22 meters, which is, again, 66 feet, and the applicant indicated that the development would be less than the 66 feet. So the application has been circulated to various city departments with concerns regarding the significant reduced parking stalls, with the area already having some parking challenges, and that Howie Avenue being quite a busy congestion is a concern with such a high occupancy. The height of the building also raised concern that it won't align with the surrounding neighborhood context. Public notices have been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius, and we've had the one concern from the applicant speaking against it here tonight, which has been noted. So it's an administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Apollo Homes to vary the following in a C2 central commercial zone. Front yard requirement of 9.1 meters down to 1.5. The east side requirement of 4.6 down to 0. The rear yard requirement of 7.5 down to 1.5 meters. And parking requirements of 70 stalls down to 46 stalls. At the property known as 125 Saskatchewan Avenue East, which is legally described as Lot 17, Block 1, Plan 1997 in the parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. Any questions or comments? Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Worship, and Council, I appreciate it. I just want to be the first to kind of speak on it. First of all, I just really want to commend the applicant for wanting to invest in our community, specifically in our downtown corridor, and to put that kind of investment. And I really want them to understand that we understand the return of investment, right? That sometimes you need to build something that has a return on it. Otherwise, why would you invest in it? Secondly, I understand completely the, I don't want to call it a complaint, sorry, the speaker against it, because I think his concerns are very valid as well. I've given this an awful lot of thought and had a few discussions, not only with some people in and out and around, and of course with planning a little bit as well. I have to speak against this variation without getting into all of the details that are applied to it, just because the project is too big for the space. I just want to mention to council as well that even though we did approve similar variances in another C3 avenue, which follows very closely to a C2, that just because we did it in one area does not set a precedence in another area. But that's obviously for each council member to decide on their own merit. With that said, I believe that not having any space on the west side between the buildings could be an issue. And the only thing I would like to see is whether the applicant would, if council turns it down, well, I'm not saying they are, but if council does turn it down, that the applicant would be prepared to come back with maybe a smaller project or a project that would fit better within our downtown development. Because I just want to really stress, we want to see our downtown grow. We know it's going to grow from a combination of commercial residential space, but what does that look like at the end of the day? We have something that's high. It does not fit in with the skyline of the current part. I'm not saying it wouldn't fit in another area of town, but it doesn't, in my opinion, fit within that specific area of town for, to keep the skyline where it's at. I do have other things to say, Madam Mayor, but I'll leave it at that point in time. So at this point, unless I hear something different, I will not be in favor of this variation.
Thank you. Councillor Porter?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I'd like to stress, too, that I commend you for coming up with a project to promote the infill of our community. That's what's needed here. But I'm have a few concerns here that and that makes me think that this project's just a little bit too big as well. I feel that that area is already congested. It's a very narrow road. It seems like a back lane, but it's very narrow. It goes, like I heard one of the councillors say, like it seems like it's a one-way, but it's not a one-way. I'm concerned about deliveries because there are other businesses in that area that I'm sure sometimes the deliveries will take up to an hour of being there and probably stop traffic there and cause a lot of problems, as well as the garbage pickup in that area for the amount of the building that's going to be and the amount of people that will be living there. I would think that they would be just more spots to take up for the big BFI containers there. So I'm hoping that in the future that maybe you can come up with something a little bit more, maybe not such on a large scale, but I sure appreciate you coming today. And yeah, just don't give up on my part anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah. Councillor Nichols?
Thank you, Your Worship. This drawing has really helped me gather some information and just get a conceptual piece. I'm really not concerned with the height. The building that was there initially for many, many years and was a very tall building as well, with windows and lookouts to north, south, and east and west. So that part, I'm overjoyed that you're at the you want to invest, and I know that we've dealt with a conditional piece beforehand. I'm excited to see that you're looking at our downtown in a way that would meet both residential pieces and the commercial space. I see that there's separation on the west side, which allows for, in my feeling, a little bit better traffic flow through and through to, and it might even help Howie a bit with that piece to it. It is a large building. Now that I got to see where the building lines actually go to, I did have one question. I don't know if at this time is of that, Your Worship, but in terms of alignment for the front of the building, I don't see any detail on that. I'm sorry if I'm going backwards here, but I'd like to know in terms of the front.
You have to ask planning. You can't ask the applicant.
Thank you. Yes, through Your Worship, the planning, if I may ask for clarification on the alignment with the existing building to which would be Mr. Ham's property, if there's a front alignment piece to help me with that piece, please. Thank you, Worship.
Mr. Gessel?
Hopefully I can answer the question with that. It's through the variation. So the front yard requirement is 9.1 meters. It's being asked to be reduced to 1.5 meters. So you're looking at roughly 3 feet off property line or 5 feet roughly off property line, which is no different than most buildings along the avenue. Most of them are pretty tight to the sidewalk, whereas their property technically isn't right to the sidewalk. So I guess that's kind of where we're at with that. It would be close to the sidewalk, but it would still be 1.5 meters back from there.
Through Your Worship, to
Ms.
planning.
Lekui Jobin?
Sorry, thank you.
I could just provide some clarification. The building next to it is basically at the property line. There is no setback on it.
Does that help? So it'd be the same.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's actually set back a
It
little
would
bit.
actually be set
Set
back
back
a little,
a
meter
from
and a
the
half
existing
to
one.
allow
Yeah.
for a
Thank you.
door swing, where the
appreciate
other
that.
ones swing inside so that they don't swing out onto onto the sidewalk.
Thank you. Thank you.
That help?
Plenty. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Councillor Doyle?
Thank you, Your Worship. I would have to agree with Councillor Nichols. I think that this is a well thought out plan, and I know that when we talk about parking, and I mean we talk about it a lot around this table, and we did approve something similar, and I do understand it doesn't set a precedent, but I think the development of our downtown might lend itself to the lesser need for parking, and I have zero issues with the height. As Councillor Nichols said, the previous building was quite tall itself. I don't have any issues with the front, east, or rear yard requirements as well, because it would suit in general the line that's currently there. So I will be speaking in favor of this, or I will be voting in favor of this variance application.
Thank you. Councillor Nichols?
Thank you, Your Worship. Sorry, I didn't. I will be speaking in favor. Now that I know that front piece alignment the way it is, I appreciate that, and I will will be voting in favor of this variance.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? I definitely have some concerns with the parking stalls. Like it concerns me in the fact that you're going to have commercial underneath, and I'm going to guess that you're looking at any business usually has 1-2 staff exactly, and that if every apartment had one car, we don't have enough parking spaces for everyone, and that's a concern to me. Yeah, Councillor Meyer?
Sorry, thank you, Your Worship. And I wasn't certainly cutting you off in all due respect. I was going to say, the other thing is that there's no, unless I'm wrong, and planning can maybe help me out, there's no visitor parking in this situation as well. So I do know that that would shift it to other parking lots, which obviously I know that that's the responsibility of that property owner. That doesn't bother me for them to find a way to protect their lot. It's their own private property. But I also noticed that there's no visitor parking as well. So thank you, Your Worship. Unless, can planning clarify that for me?
Can Mr. Gessel clarify if there's visitor parking?
I believe we have visitor parking up front on the west side where it has the V in the stall. I believe those are designated. The homeowner, like the property owner, could clarify that, but from our understanding, there would be a few designated visitor spots. So technically, it wouldn't be that many now, though. It would only be 3, as we've reduced everything. So we're looking at basically reducing from 1.5 stalls per unit down to 1 stall a unit, and then having 3 extra for visitor.
Okay.
Which still doesn't allow for business side of things, aside from avenue parking and various other places they can find it, which could be visitor as well.
And visitor parking is 10% of the total stall space, right?
Correct.
The bylaw, correct? Okay.
So then maybe Mr. Gessel, you can explain to me what do you mean by your worry of congestion in that area in your report? Like what, yeah.
Our worry of congestion? Just our worry of congestion would be traffic flow, obviously. We know that based on what we've seen, if there's an emergency situation, it's very hard to access Howie coming off Royal. Once there's one car coming out, it's hard to get in on the other side. It basically reduces down to 1 lane because we have staff parking in behind Bell MTS, which parks towards the road, which kind of takes up the road, correct? The other issue, which maybe an issue is the commercial, right? So if we don't have parking for commercial, we're relying on storefront. There's not a lot of storefront up front, but at the same time, saying all this, I'm not sure how it operated when there was a hotel there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't exactly know. I didn't live here. I don't know how they managed parking back in the day for a hotel that ran a venue underneath and had suites above. So I can't speak to how they organized that or what the bylaw was at the time for parking in that circumstance. We're just kind of thinking of things. Is it great for the area? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to look at all circumstances as far as emergency and life support when we come there? For sure. By reducing it, it obviously reduces it to the number of stalls they need to meet the requirement for the apartments.
Mm-hmm.
If we were looking at not reducing it, we'd have some serious issues. It wouldn't fit.
Mm-hmm. And that on the that's a public lane?
That is currently a public lane. Now, whether it's supposed to be a lane or it was a makeshift lane, I couldn't say. We just go based off property view for that. Like, there's no name to that lane, right? It's not named or numbered or.
Ms. LaQuie-Jobin?
Yes, that lane is not, the city has no ownership on the property, so really we have no say over
So who owns it?
the property owner. It's part of that property.
It's part of the old Portage Hotel site, so the actual property is part of that. So how that turned into a lane, I couldn't tell you. Maybe that was emergency access at the time when they were dealing with the fire and it turned into something, or it just became people cutting through. In the end, it sounds like the developer will turn it into an actual access road, so that does help. I mean, from our perspective as a planning district, we're not for or against anything. We're absolutely for things happening.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to figure out how do they fit. So when somebody brings an idea in or a site plan in, we need to figure out how do we as a district within our bylaws fit that into the area of land that they are looking to build on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we've done with this, is try to make it most feasible for the community and other business owners. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's for council to make a decision on.
Mm-hmm. So there's another thing. There's two things here that I have some trepidation when I hear that our fire department has some concerns. That's a trepidation for me. I wish that was in the report. But also, has Highways been consulted about a new lane coming off Saskatchewan Avenue? Because that obviously Highways is their road, right? So they would have to approve that, would they not?
I can't speak to that. As far as the approval of highways, I'll leave that to Mr. Bowe.
I believe it would be treated as a driveway, and it's been there a long time, so there wouldn't be a
Okay.
new requirement, I don't think, for that particular one.
Okay. Councillor Massey, just remembering your name, had to think about it.
That's okay, Your Worship. Just a question maybe to Mr. Gessel, through you, Your Worship. I wasn't clear on the fire piece. Can the top floor, like you said, the ladders are at an angle, can they actually, do the work up on that top floor?
Yeah, it's our understanding they can reach. So the fire department is equipped to reach 6 stories for sure. We have other buildings within City of Portage, government buildings, everything else that are over 6 stories, so they have to be obviously accessible through fire. They can reach. Their concern was, how do you reach it without being totally vertical, right? So which means it could possibly be shutting down Saskatchewan Avenue in an emergency situation on one side, just so they can get that extended properly.
Which happens, right?
And that would depend too. Like we'd want to make sure there's non-combustible materials right on the outside. That would be something that we'd have to discuss with the engineers as well. We can't have combustible materials or a side fence it would have to be non-combustible as well, as you see in the plan there. different things we would have to look at with the engineer when they submit their final details to make sure that we're meeting fire code and we're meeting safety of everybody.
Gotcha. Councillor Meyer?
Sorry, thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to be clear again from the Chair of City Planning and Economic Development that I am in favor of a project like this, as we always talk about. And I apologize, Your Worship, if I'm repeating myself, but we have commercial on the bottom, we have residential on the top. I trust that if council approves it, great. If council doesn't approve it, that the applicant would still be willing to work with the planning district to find a viable means of maybe reducing the size to still make it that there's a return on investment in that location. I get it, we can't build out because there's only so much space, so we have to go up, right? And I get that. There's no height requirement. I mean, it's already underneath the 22 feet, so that's not certainly part of the variance. But I just trust that if this is turned down, that the applicant would revisit it to see if he could come back with a viable return on investment for a project that would fit within that area. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Massey?
Thank you, Worship. Just a question to Mr. Gessel then. On the parking, there is a request to lower the parking, it's a variance for less spots. Mr. Ham came forward and thinks that's too many parking spots now. Do you see like a compromise in any way on parking? I mean, if it looks like people around that area would feel parking is too much now, like going higher to meet the bylaw is not going to work either for those people. Like, I'm just trying to understand. We're actually lowering the parking, but that's still a concern for some, right? That there's not enough parking. So I'm just trying to get my head around this whole parking
I guess
thing.
put some details that way as we lower parking. You know what? Numerous projects that we've brought forward for builders in the past, probably in the last 5-6 years, I want to say 90% of them had reduced parking. That doesn't mean they were all in tighter, congested lots. Some of them were in bigger, wide open lots, where we thought it would not create a problem. It did create a problem with street parking and so forth, right? Something the city had to resolve later. There's other ones that have been tight quarters and they haven't created any problems. Like I said, we're not for or against anything here as far as planning district goes. When we look at it, the only concern we would have with parking with that number of cars would be the one entrance here off Royal. Now, if you do have an entrance off the street, maybe that helps rectify the amount of traffic coming in on the one side. But then again, that's not for us to look at. Maybe that's a city issue as far as traffic flow, right? I don't know. It's something that I think everybody would have to sit down at a table and look at. How do we make cars move through right past each other in an organized direction without stopping the flow of traffic?
Yep.
And like I said, I don't know what happened way back in the day when the hotel was there.
Yeah.
I don't know where everybody parked. I don't know how traffic was utilized. I'm not sure even what happened in the back Howie Street there. I can't speak to that. We're just looking at today going forward. Developer brings us a plan. We try and make the plan fit. So that's all we're doing here.
Yep. I can say I definitely appreciate the affordableness in the downtown area. Absolutely. Because I think, having walkability is important for people, and I think it'll be definitely a benefit to our downtown. So, any other questions or comments, council? Are you ready? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, could somebody go get Mr. Espy, please? Thank you. Okay, Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee has no report at this time.
Thank you. City Planning and Economic Development Committee, Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. City Planning and Economic Development Committee has nothing at this time.
Thank you. Community Services Committee, Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Community Services Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Your Worship. Waters Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. Transportation Committee, Councillor Porter.
Thank you, Your Worship. Transportation has nothing to report.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Public Safety Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. We have no deferred business. We'll move right into new business. We have endorsement of Councillor Massey for FCM board nomination. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. Colleagues, the issue this evening is to consider endorsing Councillor Massey, putting his name forward for the FCM Board of Directors. As you know, the FCM represents the interest of member municipalities across Canada on policy and program matters that fall within federal jurisdiction. The board is comprised of elected municipal officials from all regions, sizes of communities to form a broad base of support and provides FCM with the united voice to carry the municipal message to the federal government. At the FCM's annual general meeting, it's going to be held in conference. It'll be held from June 4th to 7th, 2026, followed by the election of FCM Board of Directors. The recommendation is that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie endorse Councillor Joe Massey to stand for election on the FCM Board of Directors for the period stating in June 2026 and ending on June 2028, and that Council assumes all costs associated with Councillor Joe Massey attending the FCM Board of Director meetings.
Would somebody else like to move this? Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Espy. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Next, we have the new business, the 2026 joint election with school division. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. And just before I give my report, I'd like to thank Council for your confidence in me. I appreciate it. It's hopefully, if I'm successful, it's a 2-year term now, so I won't be bugging you next year at the same times. But I really appreciate it, and I hope that the confidence you put in me is that I'm showing that hopefully it's benefiting us as a city. So,
thank you.
With that, the issue this evening is to approve conducting the 2026 municipal and school board election jointly with the Portage la Prairie School Division. And the analysis, Section 8 of the Municipal Council and School Boards Election Act allows 2 or more local authorities to conduct an election or any part of an election jointly. It has been past practice for the City of Portage la Prairie and the Portage la Prairie School Division to conduct elections jointly with the City of Portage la Prairie, conducting the election and cost-sharing the expenses with the school division. According to the Act, this requires a resolution of Council. In 2022, the estimated election cost was $29,000. However, the total cost was $27,354, and the school division paid 50% of that amount. Administration anticipates the 2026 election to cost approximately $32,000, and the school division has agreed on a 50-50 cost share again this year. The following chart reflects how the expenses are estimated. You'll see the totals there of $32,000, of which the school board would contribute 50%, which is $16,000, and of course our cost is $16,000 as well. One change the council might be interested in for this election is the reduction of school trustees in the city ward from 5 to 4. To meet requirements of Bill 16, the school board is reassigning 1 spot to a new ward that encompasses Long Plain First Nation, Dakota Plains, Wahpeton Nation, Dakota Teepee, and Kishikimek. The school division plans for that ward to have its own SEO. So the recommendation this evening is that council, and I would move that the council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve conducting the 2026 election jointly with the Portage la Prairie School Division and splitting the expenses 50-50.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments? No one? I have a question. Maybe you can answer. Do you? Because I'm sure you've had discussion with the school division, but I'm curious why this new position came out of the city. Did they happen to say any reason why it came out of the city wards instead of the RM wards?
Thank you, Your Worship. I did speak with the school division, and they didn't have a lot of time to redraw all the wards, and the trustees, as I understand it, also felt it was very important to have a ward spot specifically for our First Nations communities. And so for this election, they decided that this would be the best way forward, but I believe there is an intention to review the ward system at large in the future.
Gotcha. Thank you. Councillor Doyle?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through Your Worship, to administration. Maybe this is the wrong platform to ask this, but the new ward, is that somebody who would have to live on one of those nations in order to put their name forward?
Ms. Chakota?
Thank you, Your Worship. To Councillor Doyle, it would be a question best suited for the school division, but it's my understanding that for this ward, you would be required to be a resident of the area.
Or a member.
Or a member, yeah.
Member of nation, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. No other questions? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Next item of new business is nomination of Mayor Knox for the FCM Award for Excellence in Municipal Leadership. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. And colleagues, this evening we're looking at, like to nominate Mayor Knox for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the Award for Excellence in Municipal Leadership. Of course, a resolution of council will demonstrate our city's strong support for the nomination. The Award of Excellence of Municipal Leadership celebrates an exceptional municipal leader who has made a clear and lasting impact on their community. It recognizes someone who leads with integrity, builds strong relationships, and moves important work forward with purpose and vision. The recipient demonstrates a deep commitment to public service and shows what's possible when local leadership is bold, inclusive, and community-focused. And the award is awarded to someone who inspires trust, brings people together, and consistently puts the needs of their community first. Council and administration feel that Mayor Knox illustrates excellence in leadership through her inclusive, community-focused approach, her strong collaborative relationships, and her deep commitment to public service. She consistently prioritizes the needs of residents and demonstrates what is possible when local leadership is bold, principled, and responsive to the community it represents. They are particularly proud of her excellent leadership on bail reform, wherein she has demonstrated exceptional leadership by championing a more just, fair, and compassionate approach to community safety. Through strong intergovernmental collaboration with provincial partners, justice stakeholders, and fellow municipal leaders, she has helped advance reforms that reduce unnecessary pretrial detention, address systematic inequities, and promote evidence-based public safety solutions. Her ability to bring municipal perspectives into broader policy discussions has strengthened outcomes for communities, and her efforts merit formal recognition. Therefore, I would move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie support the nomination of Mayor Knox for the FCM Award for Excellence in Municipal Leadership.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments? Councillor Massey.
I didn't think you were going to let me speak anymore. Just a few comments, colleagues, that I want to put on the record. You know, this work on bail reform started, and I remember the day Mayor Knox came to my home and told me about the passing of Kelly Verwey. And it was very clear how upset our community was, she was, that change had to happen. And you look at the criteria that I just read. If that doesn't meet this award, I don't know what does. And two things that I want to point out, and I sit on the FCM board, so I can tell you at the board level, if it hadn't have been for a lot of the effort of Mayor Knox and many others, it may not have reached the national agenda the way it did. First of all, the speed. We had a situation in January of 2025, a terrible tragedy in our community. How fast that we were to get public support and people from all levels of government and elected officials to get behind bail reform. But secondly, it's the impact on our community. You know, a lot of things that we do, you know, day to day, zoning variances, different things, you know, people sometimes are aware, they're not aware, sometimes they don't care. But this made an impact on our community and on our country, because it really made it real for people that we had to get change. And Mayor Knox, I know, is not looking for recognition, but I think at times that we all are in public life, we get enough criticism sometimes for what we do, and when people do good work, it should be recognized. And that we have very close now to a change in our justice system that's going to help people who obey the law and are not impacted by the repeat offenders constantly getting in and out of jail. And because of her work, I think it's important we recognize it. And you know, for us, I think Kelly Verwey represented the best of Portage la Prairie. And I think in this case, Mayor Knox represented the best of what municipal officials should be. The leadership and the bold initiative that she took and did not give up. I want to just quote a post from her letter of January 17th, 2025 to Minister of Justice. As leaders, it is our duty to protect the people we serve. Kelly Verwey and her grieving family deserve better. Our community deserve better. It is now on all of us to ensure her death is not in vain. And I believe, Mayor Knox, that your actions, I think, has made it a little bit better than what we had before. And for the family, for our community, and for our country. And therefore, I urge colleagues to unanimously support this recommendation, and we'll have a great time at FCM when she wins this award. Thank you.
All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I will also say I come from a leadership of we, so stuff like this is hard for me, but I do appreciate your kind words, so thank you. Okay. Next item of new business, request for extension for variation PC 12-26 Melco Developments. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council, in front of you is a request for an extension for a variation. This was originally approved back on March the 24th of 2026, and they're coming back for an additional 12 months. So the issue is to allow an extension of the original variation, and that variation request for PC 12-25 was to vary the front yard requirement of 7.5 meters down to 6 meters, and that was to allow for a uniform look in the subdivision and, of course, larger rear yards. The Planning Action Section 101 does state that variance order will expire and cease to have any effect if it's not acted upon within the 12-month period from the date of the decision, and that they can reapply to extend that deadline under a different subsection for 2 additional periods if they want, not longer than 12 months, if the application was received before the initial deadline, which in this case it was. As per the attached original variation order on this matter, and you'll see the documents attached for your records, which was the order PC 1225, PC 1226, which is the request for extension, and then, of course, the drive sketch, which designates the properties. With that said, it's the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the request of Melco Developments Limited to extend the original variation order of PC 2012-25 at the properties on 37, 39, 41, 43, 45, 47, 56, 58, and 62 Melco Drive, which are legally described as lots 24 to 29, Block 1, Plan 53601, lots 10 to 13, Block 2, Plan 53601 in the parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Counselor Meyer, seconded by Counselor Nichols. Any questions or comments? Are those the last lots in there to be developed? Yeah, interesting. Good. Come a long way, that little neighborhood.
It has.
All those in favor? Oh, did you have a question? Oh, sorry, Counselor Espy.
Sorry, Your Worship, I was just going to say they aren't quite the last ones, but
Oh.
they are the next ones.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, not it. Good. Okay, all those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Next item of new business, February building reports. Counselor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. And of course, other than your nomination for the SM Award, nothing makes me happier than being able to talk about the building permits, because again, it just really shows shovel in the ground and gives us a real clear picture of what's going on within our region. As usual, Council, you'll see the building reports both for the city and the RM. I do draw your attention to the report that is combined, as we do look at it from, of course, a regional perspective. You will notice a couple of things that stand out as permits are actually a little higher than last year, even though last year ended up in a somewhat of a record year in some areas. But I also want to point out that the value of the permits are higher as well. So you will see that there have been, even though it's a single permit for a single building, there's been the same pattern for repairs following along. There's also been some institutional repair permits as well. And you will notice, as we always talk about in the cottage industry, the RTMs, or the ready to moves, up at 1.7 million. So when you look at the values, 15 permits last year for $1,073,000 and 19 permits so far this year for $3.9 million. So that's a significant, a 300% increase, I guess, over where it was last year. So again, the end of the year, story does tell the whole story, but this is a really good start. And again, I always want to close by saying, just because there's not a lot of permits out there, it doesn't mean that the planning district is doing nothing, as we indicated at last council meeting, and that Councillor Doyle so eloquently spoke to when he was on the radio, is that the work they do just begins for them, whether it be inspections or whatever it is at that time. So once again, I do caution or certainly recommend that anybody starting any kind of project, again, especially we're coming into summer, maybe renovation season, is just, if you have a question on whether a permit is required or not, 30 seconds to the planning district. Believe me, they are not the police, although they do have some legislative or some authority, depending on what it is. They're there to help you. They're there to work with you in order to be able to make sure that every project goes as well as it possibly can and is updated to current building codes. So unless there's no questions.
Oh, Counselor Doyle.
Hey.
I'm going to jump in here and eloquently ask a question to, through your worship, to Mr. Gessel. I just wanted some clarification on the RTM. So one permit was pulled for a total of 1.7 million. I'm just wondering if you can tell me exactly what categories fall under RTM. Like, is it an actual ready to move?
Yeah, so the company has pulled a permit for RTM. It's not one RTM. I believe it's 3. There's a few they're building, but it falls under one permit. So they are ready to move. In this case, these ones are not staying in the community. They are going up northern. They seem to have, they use them for fire relief, for the firefighters that are fighting up north. Once those are contained, then they move out, and they use them for the community. Yeah, they turn them into housing for the community. So
nice.
Thank you.
That's under our understanding of situation.
Perfect. That makes more sense than a $1.7 million house rolling down the highway. So thank you for that.
I think that's the first question under building reports. So.
In 8 years. Thank you for that.
Big day.
It is. Any other questions? Thank you. And if there's no further questions, that is my report, Your Worship.
Thank you. We have no old business. We will adjourn council at 7:19 p.m. and we'll move right into committee. I'll call committee to order at 7:19 p.m. Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have one report. I think I usually put it under finance, and that was our hospital board meeting last week. The one thing I do want to report on it is the board continues to work through our strategic plan and ensuring, we're meeting the healthcare needs of our community. One thing I would bring to your attention is we finalized the history book for the Portage Hospital. Mr. Kostachuk has put it together. I've seen the draft. It's a great book. A lot of old pictures. Some of you will recognize lots of people in there. But you'll get details when that's available shortly. But we continue to work through our strategic plan, and I think I gave a fairly detailed report last council meeting, so I'll just leave it at that, Your Worship.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing it, that new book. Okay, City Planning and Economic Development, Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Worship. City Planning and Economic Development Committee from my chair has nothing to add, but I'd like to turn the mic over to Councillor Massey, who has a report or two or three to go underneath this committee.
Thank you. Just one report. Was pleased to attend the annual general meeting of the Chamber, Portage Chamber, and I was asked by the mayor to swear in the new president, and I'd like to congratulate Jamie Bernard, the new president of the Chamber, Portage Chamber, and I know Councillor Nichols was there, and Councillor Porter, and Councillor Meyer. So thank you for attending that, and we look forward to continuing the great relationship we have with the Chamber to discuss issues important to our city and get their input into policy. So once again, congratulations to Jamie Bernard.
Thank you. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would just like to echo Councillor Massey's comments. Again, with Councillor Nichols, Councillor Doyle, Councillor Massey, and myself were fortunate enough to be there. The Chamber is probably one of the strongest organizations that we have within our business community. And they really do work hard to try and advocate on their behalf. So again, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate, again, Jamie Bernard on taking over that presidency. It's never an easy role. And I certainly want to wish him all the best from the economic chair. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. And we'll thank Adrienne Meckes for her time as president, as the outgoing president. So excellent. Thank you. Okay, Community Services Committee, Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have anything for community services, but through Your Worship, I'd like to call upon Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Councillor Espy. Through Your Worship, I had the honor of, I just thought I'd report back on the honor of attending Southport's grad on Friday night, and it was a great evening. There was 4 grads, but I was honored to present the City of Portage la Prairie Award to Captain Andrew Morrison. Now, Captain Morrison is going to fly the Globemaster 2, and he's going to occupy one of the front seats in that. And I must say, it was a great evening and so well attended. There was a lot of family members there. So I was amazed. There was probably 50 to 60 folks that were there for 4 grads. And they, lots of great comments about our City of Portage la Prairie and where they stayed, and little tours that they had, wondering what the lake looks like in the summer, and all kinds of really good comments. So thank you for allowing me to attend, and congratulations to Captain Morrison.
Thank you. Councillor Espy.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Your Worship. Waterworks Committee has nothing to report in committee.
Thank you. Transportation Committee, Councillor Porter.
Thank you, Your Worship. Transportation has nothing to report. Just going to bring up only one thing I want to just mention is about the pothole season coming up here, or it actually has already arrived. If you see any extra water on the roads that is too large to drive through or walk through, please report it on the service request, as well as any potholes that you see. I know it's not quite they're not fixing potholes, they're filling potholes right now, but not with the proper stuff. And when the time arises that they're ready for that, they'll be going around and fixing all those. And so go on to that our city website and do the service requests. I did one myself today, and to my I did notice something new there, or maybe it was always there, but when I clicked on the street, there was already a request put in for that already. So yeah, so it works. Thank you.
Pretty efficient. And for all those citizens who want to send me a message saying that there's potholes in our city without specifics, I already know. So thank you. You can save yourself typing that email. It's great. Okay. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Public Safety would like to mention and bring attention to the Public Safety Open House that is being held this Wednesday, March 25th at 5 p.m. And it will be at Stride Place in the multipurpose room, hosted by the RCMP, the local RCMP, and PCRC. It'll be an opportunity to see a short presentation from RCMP and have your chance to ask some questions. We will also have the organization's COPP, Crime Stoppers, and the Portage Bear Clan on site with tables set up, hoping to recruit some members. So if you've ever had any interest in joining one of those groups, now that would be a good opportunity to talk to them, ask them questions, and see if it's the right fit for you. I'd also like to thank Councillor Nichols, who did jump in on the Wings grad on Friday on very, very short notice. I was supposed to attend, but when you have young children in school, they can get sick on a moment's notice, and Councillor Nichols to the rescue with about 45 minutes notice. I did see the pictures online, and he dressed up real handsome, and I thank you very much for filling in for me. Other than that, Public Safety has nothing else to report.
Thank you, Councillor Nichols.
If I may, that's one of the benefits of getting older. Councillor Doyle, you seem to find times on Friday night that's not occupied by young children anymore, and was quite honored to be there.
Definitely. And I'd just like to comment on the public safety open house that we're having. I think, this time of year, as the snow's melting and spring is coming, we know that it creates a little more challenges for our city when it comes to public safety and things going on. So a really great opportunity to come out and talk and understand how you can protect yourselves, your property, all of those things. So I hope we see a lot of community members out to when they have that opportunity. And I know you guys will all do a great job of presenting that information. Perfect. Anything else? I got nothing. We'll adjourn. 7:26 p.m. Thank you.